NAVIA is perhaps one of the most misunderstood units in all of Genshin Impact right now, and that makes a lot of people think she's bad, while she actually isn't. And especially people who don't give her the chance because she's a Tio Claymore unit are going to spread misinformation about her being bad. So here I am to clear up her pros and cons. Now, first of all, for her pros, NAVIA can front load a lot of damage in a short amount of time. About 500,000 damage within 5 seconds and low investment. This is with just her E and a couple of normal attacks, because you can use her E twice and that will be the majority of her damage. This isn't even including her burst. For reference, 500,000 damage is what I hit with my Raiden Shogun's burst. And she's C-free with one of the highest crit values on my entire account. Yeah, that's a lot of fucking damage. Of course, she does a bit longer to do it, but come on, you really can't say that this is bad damage. Being able to get a large amount of damage in a short time period is very good, because the main endgame content right now is the Spiral Abyss, and the Spiral Abyss is just a time trial, so being able to do a large amount of damage in a short amount of time is very good for clearing waves, because the faster you clear, the better your team is. This is also one of the reasons that Eula is so bad, because most of her damage is backloaded rather than front-loaded, because you have to stack up her burst. And after all this talk about front-loaded damage, of course, you're gonna think, surely her sustained damage pretty bad, right? No! Her sustained damage is not bad. Her sustained damage is important because it means that you can actually do damage when your front load isn't up. And this also allows you to regenerate energy on your entire party without overkilling the enemies. She does about 1 million damage per rotation on a low investment with very minor buffing, because sadly she doesn't have a lot of good supports right now, and this can be compared to Cyno's Quick Bloom damage, and she is also twice as fast with this damage. Cyno's damage is considering both Aggravate and Hyper Bloom. NAVIA is able to crank that shit out in half the amount of time. Of course, NAVIA has less teammate options, so in reality they're more equal than you think, but her personal damage is high, which means that she's only going to get better with time. She's also incredibly easy to use, because there's no complicated Viridus and Veneraire setups or anything. No thinking required, just go! You definitely won't be regretting pulling her, because she is hard to use, like a lot of people regret playing Hu Tao or Ganyu, or maybe even Tartaglia, because they don't fully know how to utilize the character, and thus they regret pulling them. NAVIA may not have a lot of set-in-stone teammates, but that just means that she's not restrictive. She has a lot of teammate options to choose from, with the general format being NAVIA, Geo, Farina, and a healer, or NAVIA, a Geo, a sub-DPS, and Bennett. She's able to go well with any sub-DPS as long as their application is decent. She goes well with Farina, Yelan, Fischl, hell, even Xiangling can be good with her because she's going to be able to use Bennett. She also has very low energy recharge requirements. She generates 3.5 particles with 2 E's, so that means that she is going to get 7 particles. She also has a burst that costs only 60 energy, which means you need less ER than normal. The less energy recharge that you need, the more offensive stats you can go for, and the easier the unit is to build. This is also another reason that Eula isn't that good, because she needs a large amount of energy recharge to actually get her burst every rotation. If you liked the video so far, consider subscribing. I cover Genshin meta and Genshin leaks a lot, and if you want to see more, definitely be sure to subscribe, comment, and like. But of course it isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Navi is not a perfect unit. No unit's perfect. So it's time to dive into some of her cons. First of all, her vertical investment is really bad, and by that I mean her constellations and her signature weapon. Her constellations are incredibly low damage gains, with most of its value being convenience. So if you're a whale, in her current state you probably won't be using NAVIA much. Her main uses of the constellations are conveniences in both her C1 and her C6. If you're able to fully utilize her C1, it means that you're able to use her burst twice every rotation, which sounds fucking awesome. And then her C6, which means you need less stacks for her empowered E. Her signature weapon is also really bad, because it has a high base attack, and that's kind of wasted if you're using Bennett. Of course, the signature weapon does become better when you're not using Bennett, but Bennett is one of her best buffers right now, so that's still quite a shame. It's also going to be quite wacky to get every stack for her rotations, so that's going to need some theory crafting and testing. Crystallize has a global ICD of 1 second, so unless you're able to circumvent that ICD somehow, you are not able to have 6 stacks on every single one of your elemental skills, which is going to be quite a decent damage loss. Furina's Hydro application may also not be enough to actually get enough crystallizes to be able to stack her up completely. This is, however, going to require some more in-game testing, so I would take this with a grain of salt. Her being a Geo attack scaler also means that she has less buffs to take advantage of. Being Geo means that she's not able to use Viridescent Venera or Kazuha, which takes away 2 of the best buffers in the entire game. Because she's an attack scaler, she can't fully utilize Goro, and also because she's a Crystallize user, she can't really go for the Geo unless you're really trying to force it, which means that Goro is not going to be a very good option with her. Because she has no HP manipulation, it also means that she has less synergy with Furina, which, is a big shame, because Furina is currently someone who I consider to be either the best character in the game or the second best character in the game. So let's all hope that Chiori, the rumored Geo character, is going to alleviate this issue somewhat. And lastly, her damage is definitely not the best out there. She is not the best DPS, and she's not the one I recommend the most. For example, Nuvolette is who I consider to be the best hyper carry. She simply does not get to the level of Nuvolette, Linny, or Alhaitham right now, which is quite a shame. But she does have good things that some of the others don't. She has more team flexibility than Linny, she has easier setups than Alhaitham, and she definitely also has more front load than Nuvolette. So I hope that this clears up some of the misconceptions for NAVIA, and I hope that I've been a help in you deciding whether you're going to pull NAVIA or not. I think she's a perfectly fine unit, and she gets shit on too much by people trying to put her in roles that she's not supposed to be in. If you're not really sure on what you're going to do about NAVIA, be sure to leave a comment, or, like the video, and subscribe to see more stuff about her. Because if you're watching this video and have reached this point, you're probably pretty interested. But that's probably going to be all from me, because, I don't have much more to say at this moment. So that will be all from me. Peace.